Welcome to the Primo's Musings podcast.
Good evening. How are you, Dan?
Good evening. Good to see you.
All right. We're going from tennis. We're going to go to the Open. The British Open, the 152nd edition of the British Open will get underway at the Royal Troon Golf Club just outside Glasgow in Scotland. They'll be hosting this year's event for the 10th time in its history. And this is the final major. Oh, no, this is the third major, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Actually, this is the final one.
This is
This
the
is the
final
final
major, and this is the coveted Claret Jug, which Brian Harman had to return it because it gets passed on to the next
Right.
golfer who wins it. And then there's a field of 158 golfers. So let's get rolling like we always do. I think we just wrapped up the Scottish Open. I think it was we were very surprised to see Adam Scott in the lead, and McIntyre eventually took the winner's check at Scottish Open. So let's see who do we have? Who do you think is going to win? And like we always do, your favorites, then we pick, and then we pick our sleepers.
Yeah. So just real quick recap of the season thus far, just to kind of show where we're at right now as far as the majors. The first major of the year was the Masters, obviously, and that was won by Scottie Scheffler, his first of six tournaments that he's won, 6 of the last 10 now that he's won this season. That was followed by at the PGA at Valhalla. Xander Schauffele took home the trophy there in dramatic fashion over Bryson DeChambeau in the final round. They were kind of going, man to man, back and forth there towards the end, and Schauffele pulled it out with a big putt on 18. And then we saw the drama just last month at the U.S. Open down in North Carolina at Pinehurst, and we saw Bryson prevail there in dramatic fashion over Rory there. So that just kind of recaps where we're at with majors so far, and then now we're at the final major, like you said, the Claret Jug. This tournament, I always, I always kind of, you got to favor, and something I was not necessarily favor, but really look at and give serious credence to the players who grew up overseas in Scotland or Ireland, playing that style of golf, Houston Link style golf, because it really is a different style. We've had some Americans and other players who have obviously had success over there. They've learned to play there over the years. But I think there's a big advantage to the players who have grown up playing that style of golf. So players obviously like Rory, and then we have also some other Scottish and Irish players over there like Robert McIntyre now, and then obviously Tommy Fleetwood, Shane Lowry, who won a British Open a handful of years ago. So players like that, I think you always have to give serious thought to when it comes to contending and being up the leaderboard at the British Open. Obviously, we haven't seen anything from Scheffler now in about a month. It's hard to, not pick him. But last time he went out on the golf course we saw him at Travelers and at TPC Cromwell, and he was the winner there over Tommy Kim in the playoff. And he has not played in a tournament since then. He's just taken some time off. So I was a little surprised he didn't play at the Genesis Open in Scotland last week. I was a little surprised he didn't go over there to get some practice, but he's got his reasons, I guess. So he's still the favorite on the DraftKings plus 450. He's quite a favorite over Rory, almost twice the favorite according to the odds. And then we have right behind them Xander Schauffele, and then your guy Ludwig Åberg and Colin Morikawa, and then Bryson as far as the DraftKings leaderboard. So that's kind of how DraftKings is handicapping it. I'll give you my 2 picks right now, and then you can take 2 picks as well. I'm gonna go with Ludwig Åberg as my top pick right now.
You took my guy then.
Yeah, you've had him all year. You can take Scottie if you want. I've taken Scottie. I've been riding him all season long.
I'm not picking him this time.
So I'll go Åberg, and then my other pick would be I'm going to go down and take an Irishman, Shane Lowry. Shane Lowry is he's had some great. He's always like a top 10, top 15 leaderboard guy at the majors. It seems like he had a real good round at the PGA on Saturday. I remember a few months back it was in contention. Then he didn't have a great Sunday, but he had a wonderful Saturday and shot a 62 or something. So I'm going to go with Lowry because he's just familiar with the link style courses, and then Oberg because he's been so solid, this whole season so far. So those are my two picks. And I'll turn it over to you to kind of give a few comments and give your two picks.
In fact, I was looking at the two names that were expert predictions that I briefly was looking at. One was Aberg and the other one was Victor Hovland. And there's another guy I always pick as one of my sleepers. But looking at the field right now, when I look at it, you got Xander, who's the PGA Championship winner. You got the U.S. Open winner, DeChambeau. Then you got Aberg, and then you got a guy that has been forgotten, a guy who has not won. He won the Masters last year, John Rahm, and he has not even won on the LIV Tour. Somebody who could be making a comeback, I think. And then you still have the golfers who are very consistent, like Colin Morikawa has been consistent, Koepka has been consistent. Obviously, Scottie Scheffler has been consistent. If not, we both talked about it. Like, if not for that incident, if more than an incident, I think it was not the caddy. I think he would have definitely won that, I think, or maybe made a run for that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pick Scottie for that. I mean, I think he's not much of a link style player. I think I like your pick on Aberg. He's finished in the top 15 across 7 of the 9 events, which I didn't realize, including twice at the major championship. So that's actually pretty good for him. He did struggle in that Scottish Open that opened the door for McIntyre and Adam Scott. But he's got the talent, and his disposition is pretty great for the Open Championship. The other guy a lot of people are picking, which I didn't think, and I was actually going to pick this guy as my sleeper, but I'll wait for the sleeper pick. But since you asked me who's going to win it, I'm going to go with Victor Hovland this time. So that's going to be my pick for the British Open winner. Because I do think that he's a player who's actually played pretty well, but I don't know. I mean, I think the only thing is that he still struggles around the green, and I think everything is everybody thinks like he makes a big run, but I'm going to give him a shot this time to win it all, which may not be a great pick, but I think I'm going to stick with it, and I have a sleeper pick as well.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really like your Victor Hovland pick, but hey, we'll see how it turns out. If you like Victor Hovland, I have a timeshare to sell you in Myrtle Beach, so we'll see how that turns out.
Well, I pick Victor Hovland every time, and he disappoints me. But I'm going to go out on the limb and just because of the amount of research we've not been able to do during the short time that we've had. And this is, again, with the U.S. Open and PGA and Masters, it's actually during the U.S. time, so it's much easier to watch it. But these are early tee times, you don't know. And then the weather plays a big, plays a havoc there. And then you could see like a string of low scores. And then by afternoon, the scores start going the other way. And this has always happened in the British Opens. So I don't know. I mean, I was going to go with Scottie Scheffler because you kind of opened the door for me by giving me Scottie Scheffler on a pallet, but I'm not going to pick Scottie Scheffler, and I'm going to go with Hovland this time, which is a very surprise pick. But let's see what happens.
All right, I'll give you take one other pick for your favorite. That's a non dark horse because I took Oberg and Shane Lowry, so you can have another pick that's a non dark horse if you want.
Oh no, okay, I'll go with Koepka. Okay, I'll go with Koepka, and then. On the sleeper pick, another player who's actually been playing pretty well, I would go with Tony Finau, who's actually finished in the top 20 in the last 5 tournaments, including he was third for the U.S. Open. I mean, he had a shot. He was tied for 18th at the PGA Championship. He's always been a low-key player, I think. Let's see. I mean, I think I just saw a stat here. In the last 10 years, among golfers who have played at least 15 rounds, Finau ranks only behind McIlroy, Spieth, and Stetson's strokes gained at this event. So we'll see. I don't know. But I'm going to go with Finau as my
Okay.
sleeper pick.
I'm going to take someone who's actually won a major and won a British Open before, so I don't know if we can call him a dark horse, but we haven't heard much from him since he's went to the Live Tour. I like him. I think he's going to contend or be close. Cam Smith.
Oh.
I mean, like I said, I don't know if he's probably like odds wise like 15th on the list, so I guess we'll give him dark horse status. But he won a British Open a couple of years ago over I think when Rory was second place. Cam just got hot on that Sunday, and Rory couldn't make a putt all day. He wasn't missing 3-footers, but he wasn't making any birdie putts that day, so that was his downfall on that day a couple of years ago. So so I'll go with Cam Smith. I think he's done okay at the majors this year, not great, but I think he's poised to have a good tournament. So we'll see what he does.
Yep. Since we always dedicate our, I have a few, I would call it like trivia questions. So this is going to be fun. Who won the last tournament at Royal Troon, the British Open?
Oh, well, I did look that one up before we went live. So that's Stenson. Yes, I did look that one up.
Crazy. That was the crazy, I think, back and forth with Phil Mickelson.
I'm not sure. I thought Phil won that day when they went back and forth. So was that the back and forth? There was. I remember that round where the two of them went back and forth. I forget if that was where Henrik won it or if Phil won a subsequent tournament. But yeah.
Oh, you mean in 2016?
Yeah.
So that was the 145th Open. That was the duel of the ages between Phil Mickelson and eventual winner Henrik Stenson. I mean,
so that was the one they went back and forth.
Yes, that is. But I'll give you another trivia, which is going to be name the U.S. golfer who won the 2004 at Royal Troon, and he defeated Ernie Els in a playoff. This is a guy that I don't think even I've heard at the time. It's a long way. It was back in 2004.
Oh, okay. I can get this. I'm pretty sure I'll get this because I remember where I was in 2004. I remember this guy came out of nowhere. I was living down in D.C. I remember I remember Ben Curtis. Is that right? Not Ben Curtis.
Ben Curtis. And I mean, Ben, I know Ben Curtis, but again, this was interesting. So you won the. I'll give you another shot.
Not Mark Kalkovec. He was.
No, Mark Kalkovec actually won it in '89. That was like a 4-hole playoff. I think with like Greg Norman and Wayne Grady, and I think that was in '89. And then '82 was Tom Watson. And then 70.
Oh, Todd Hamilton was the guy then, right? Todd.
You're right. Todd Hamilton.
I thought it was Ben Curtis. I think won a British Open too. I think Ben Curtis. Yes. I think so. But
yes.
Todd Hamilton. He was like a relative unknown. He'd been playing on the Japanese tour or something, or a international tour. He'd never been playing on the PGA, and he got an exemption, or he qualified. Yeah, Todd Hamilton. Yes.
Yeah, there are some very interesting holes that. There's a par 3, which is like the shortest. Par 3, I think it's like 123 yards, and they call it like the post-8 stamp, and I think that's where you got like deep bunkers and things like that.
Yeah, so, they call it coffin bunkers all around.
Exactly,
I think.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's going to be. That is one reason why I like the British Open. It's not. I mean, it's not great to watch on TV like the Masters because it's link style course and even like people are actually putting from outside the green, 60, 70 yards. But it's still like fun. But this is going to be fun to watch the British Open. Like I said, a lot of the experienced golfers will still struggle. So we went through this entire podcast without mentioning one name, and that name is Rory McIlroy. So we didn't feature him in our picks, not the favorite, not even the second favorite, and not even the sleeper. What do you think?
Second place. I'll give him second place, but it doesn't matter until he wins the tournament. I'm not going to pick him ever until he wins. So he could finish second or third all he wants, which he probably will. I think he's number 2 player in the world, right behind Scheffler, I believe.
Yeah.
So he's rightfully so. He's a good player, a great player, but I still don't trust him when it comes to, as we saw, at the U.S. Open just last month, when it comes to making those short putts at the end, or even if it's a 5 or 6 footer to make a birdie or something to win it. I just don't trust him with the flat stick. So yeah, I think, he's been last week at the Scottish Open. I think he was top 10. I think he played well, but I just think something's not registering with him still. Like, I think he made a comment. He said it was more of a heartbreaker when he lost at the British Open a few years ago to Cam Smith on that final round. More of a heartbreaker when he lost there than it was when he lost just last month to Bryson, which that makes no sense.
That makes no sense at all.
He's just not processing things correctly up in his upstairs. I don't think so. He's still in denial, and I just think mentally, when he stands over that putt that matters, he doesn't believe it. Or he's gonna get the yip, so to speak. So, I won't pick him until he wins. So it's that simple, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing would be like I did hear another comment from Rory that he said, well, I think he mentioned something like was going to enjoy the sport. Maybe that will kind of change him because there's always been a lot of pressure on him to win each and every year, and or each and every tournament, and he's always come up short, like finishes second, or he's leading, and then like the USO at Pinehurst, and then he misses that 2-footer, 3-footer, which we call a gimme, which was not. A lot of people said it was not an easy putt, but then everything went downhill after that, and then that opened up the door for DeChambeau to win it all. But let's see. I think if he wins, I think that'll be fun to see. But I think he's, like I said, like he's not completely in tune with what's going on right now. That's very sad. It's a golfer who was supposedly, everybody was talking about he was going to be winning not only multiple majors, like even double-digit majors when he first started. He started winning like 4. I think Koepka has already overtaken him, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where we are. So you got, I got.
But there's one other name we haven't mentioned either. The greatest golfer of our generation, by the way. He's playing in this too. Yeah, we don't need to go into that, but so we have it. Yeah, there's one other name, which we'll see if he makes the cut. But
you mean Tiger?
Yeah.
Yes, I mentioned Tiger and then Phil. Like these are the two guys we I think intentionally left out in our last preview for the U.S. Open, but I don't know. You never know. Sometimes Phil is capable of some low numbers, and who knows, right? But we'll see. So that's where we are. Dan, I don't know if we'll get a chance to do the final recap, but I think it'll be fun either way to watch the British Open. So, all right. Thank you again, Dan. I know this was a short one where we have to tell our viewers we were not completely prepared, but we did throw a few trivia questions for Satmire and A-Dub. So we'll give these guys a chance to listen to it.
All right. Safe travels.
All right. Give me a second before I stop recording.
Thanks for listening. Primo and Dan will be back soon.